We can't even get through the whole thing.
I just, out of the corner of my eye, I see you down there going like, no,
kill it, Rob, kill it, no way.
Meanwhile, I was trying to count all, 20, 30 people there watching.
Dude, those are some fly moves. Well, you know what it is? We've gone through and talked about how, like, if you have too long of an intro, people tune out just from the intro. If you leave Corey Feldman playing for 30 seconds, that's it.
Just plummet.
We're going to lose everybody. Yes. And I did that just for Don because Don was making fun of my music taste today. But you got to admit, those are some fly moves, bro.
Yeah, maybe 30 years ago.
Look, Corey clearly taught Michael Jackson all his dance moves. I mean, this is why audience numbers are so low. Dude, you want to know what's funny? When we woke up this morning, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have a show tonight. Like, I don't have anything planned, So, like, I was going to give up Twitter for Lent, and I'm like, our whole show, show prep is Twitter.
It's Twitter.
It's Twitter. Twitter is show prep. Like, I flip through Twitter and I look for things that are funny. And if something makes me laugh, I'm like, all right, I send it to Rob. If you guys I started off with nothing this morning. Usually like the day before I'll start sending stuff. This morning I started sending stuff because I thought we had nothing. I think I sent more today than I ever have before.
There's a lot.
We have a lot to get to.
There's a lot.
I don't even know if we'll get to any of the things in the title.
Which is why I just filled up my Kyle Whittington mug with bourbon.
I got a Kyle Whittington mug too, but I'm drinking tea, which you can barely see the tea bag with the green screen, because I gave up alcohol for Lent. So, yesterday my brother, I went in and my younger brother Joey was on my crew the past 2 days, and he's one of my devout Catholic brothers. And we were talking about Lent and stuff. And then last night he texted me something from Divine Intimacy, maybe, or I don't know if it was Divine Intimacy. It's from something, but just talking about going over in Matthew's gospel, how it says, when you fast, do not be like the Pharisees or Sadducees, where they wear their, they dirty up their face. They want everybody to know they're fasting. And I was like, yeah, but Joe, I think if me and you were talking about it, we're not bragging to each other. Like, right. We're kind of giving each other tips. We're encouraging one another. I'm not bragging to my brother what I gave up for Lent. Even when we talk on this, right? Like, we're not, oh, look at what I did. Look what I did. It's like, okay, look, I have a very, I gave up. Give
people ideas or to support
and to give encouragement. Like, I think when you're discussing with fellow Catholics, especially, I think it's, if I slip up, I'm going to admit when I slipped up, things like that. It's tough because you don't want to get rid of your treasure in heaven. So, let's see. I'm totally bragging here. How is day 2 for you going?
Good. Definitely craved a lot of meat today, of course. It's that first week is hard, but
you gave up all meat for all of Lent.
All meat, all sweets. And I'm not eating until 3:00 each day.
So you're doing a black fast basically till 3. Yeah. And then what are you doing? 2 meals a day, like a meal at 3 and then dinner?
I'll bring like a little snack or something to work to eat at 3. Eat at 3 and then I eat dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did no meat last year, and it was a little too difficult for me. I did it. It was a little too difficult. So this year I'm doing no meat on Wednesdays and Fridays, but everything else I'm doing what I did last year. So tonight I was able to have a little bit of chicken with my dinner, and it was nice.
Nice.
But same thing, no snacking. And I don't make it till 3 though. I make it till about 1. So I skip breakfast totally.
You're up a few hours early.
I'm up at 4 a.m. Yeah. So. But I also can't drink coffee without, like, I can't drink black coffee. I've noticed.
I prefer black coffee, so
I'm trying to get used to it. So I still pour myself coffee in the morning. I leave the house with black coffee, and I find I'm drinking like 7 or 8 sips of it, and then just dumping it out.
I know what coffee you like to drink, and that's great coffee when you're doing like espresso or latte or something like that. But if you're not,
I should probably switch to chock full of nuts or something, right?
Switch to like a Highlander grog or something that's got a little lighter and a little more flavor.
Yeah, because Lavazza coffee is very strong. It's like seriously, and you're right. If I'm drinking an espresso, so espresso I could drink black with no sugar, no problem, because you're just doing a shot basically. You know, you just get it down, and it does the same thing as a coffee will. But yeah, so I'm drinking Lavazza coffee black. So what I did this morning was I have the steamer, so I steamed apple juice. I tried that. Nah, I'm gonna try and get this black coffee thing down. Yeah, Joe says he loves that coffee. Lavazza really is like I think it's the best coffee there is. But yeah, I only know about it because of espresso and stuff like that. But what do you want to get into first tonight, bud?
Oh, do we want to start with like a serious actual?
No, let's do hick hop. Let's do hick hop because this really got on my nerves yesterday. And
I all these videos I see on Twitter, I'm like, nah, I don't want to watch that.
Yeah,
and then those are always the videos you send me. I'm like, oh,
because I have so many opinions about our culture falling apart. Whoa, Rick's doing nothing but bread and water. Rick, that's crazy.
Not all Lent, right?
All of Lent, or
just
look at my Lavazza lovers out there. It's really the best coffee. Rick, are you really doing that all Lent? That's nuts, man. I don't know if I can. I have my uncle. He did a 30-day fast and only took supplemental vitamins and drank water, and he lost like 60 pounds. Like he tried to go the Jesus route, you know.
That's rough.
Yeah. All right, let's get into hick hop because I don't think people want to hear us talk about our.
I don't think people want to watch this either.
But you're gonna love this one.
Okay, let's do this. I'm sorry, everyone.
Here we go, guys.
Cuffs on my veins, wearing these jeans. Roll tide, go balls, SEC. Freaking fighting, riding races, trackers on the straight. So healthy, right side is damn good day when the fish are biting. Top of water, sinking bobbers. I get these looks from my mama, kick gas from my father. Come on, survive.
All right, we've heard enough. We've heard enough. The gangster, the fuck for my mama. It's really frustrating to watch women try to act like the movement she's making. It's very urban hip hop, right? Like it's very urban hip hop. This is. And the reason it's urban hip hop is because these are gangbangers and they got guns and they're out there. I mean, this girl is trying to move like she's a gangster from the South Bronx, and
at the same time, you know, she's not like really country either. Like, you know, the big lifted truck in the background, like, you know, she's never driven one of those.
Never. And she is she's also in the rainbow cult. Right. So this girl is already suffering. Yeah, she's suffering from some disorders. And she thinks she needs to be the man in the relationship, apparently. But just the whole gangster, tough girl, like, it really drives me nuts. So Rick says, 2 pieces of bread for lunch, 2 pieces of bread for dinner. On Sundays, I'll have 2 small meals because it's the Lord's Day. Rick, I'm going to pray for you this Lent. That's really... That's bold, brother. Yeah. So agrarian peasant says it's beyond cringe. Like the idea of Lauren says us Southerners don't claim her. I heard, and I did a little digging on this girl once. Jason, because Jason's the one that told me she's in the rainbow thing. So I heard when she couldn't get the music career going off, she wound up just starting an OnlyFans. So. Apparently everybody else agrees with our taste in her music. It was pretty terrible. I just like, this is just the symptom of
everything
that's wrong with the West, man. It really is. Like this actually, you should why don't you go down to the last 2 things that I sent you about Australia, because Australia, they have, I guess what do they have? The US Open, not the US Open. They have the Australia Open going there or something.
Probably.
I think they have some sporting event going there or a pride event going on or something. But if you play the first video, it's a Pantene commercial, and then the second is about a mural that was down there.
Yeah, give me a second.
Oh, it's 100% Rick. The only validation she could get is by acting like a man. Well, the culture around her is telling her that she should act like a man. And what is a man anymore, right? And they try to confuse you and make you think that there is no such thing as proper gender roles. It's really absurd.
Okay, here we go, everyone. I'm sorry.
It's a Pantene commercial.
Isn't makeup supposed to make you look better?
Wait till you see what's coming.
Present themselves authentically.
Look at this! What is that?
I think
You maybe should have let it play twice to really get. It's like, dude,
No,
what is going on?
Why can people not be honest with these people? Why is no one saying, like, look what you have done to yourself? Like,
It's worse than that.
does no one love these people?
That's what it comes down to. And it's not even that nobody is telling them they look terrible. People are telling them they look fabulous. And what there was this whole thing that went down between Matt Walsh and I think it was Jeremy from the Quartering. So Matt Walsh went.
I've never heard of the Quartering until like last week.
Until last week, and now he's been everywhere, right? Me too. I never heard of him until I saw something with Eliza Blue 2 weeks ago, and now he's just everywhere. He's everywhere. So Matt Walsh went, he was brutal with Dylan Mulvaney. Now Dylan Mulvaney is
he was honest.
Yeah,
Just
right. So
honest.
but Dylan Mulvaney is a clown. He's mocking what it means to be a woman. Like it's just such a. I don't understand how blackface is wrong and that's not. Like how is it not? Well, please explain this to me. Why is it okay for Dylan Mulvaney to do what he's doing, but if somebody pulls what Robert Downey Jr. did in Tropic Thunder, then that's wrong. Like I can't understand it. So Matt Walsh was brutally honest. That's it. He's like, you're ugly. You don't look like a woman. You're not fooling anybody. And he just like went off and told the truth. And a bunch of conservative outlets came out and they were like, you could catch more flies with honey. You don't have to be so vicious. And it's like,
don't you realize how we got to this point?
We got to this
point by trying to pussyfoot around everything.
We got to this point because people weren't willing to have fights with their in-laws like I did 2 weeks ago, right? Like that's really how we got to this point where everybody said, don't talk about religion and don't talk about politics and don't talk about, gender stuff. Don't talk about the rainbow stuff.
It's the whole tolerance as a virtue problem, right?
Yeah. So when I spoke up with my in-laws, it was shocking to them because nobody's done that. But if we would have been doing that since the time of the sexual revolution in the 60s, maybe we wouldn't be where we are right now. But everybody's so afraid to be labeled that, it's like, conservatives are weak, man, like beyond weak.
Because they're not conservative.
Yeah, what are they trying to conserve? What's the saying? It's like the Republicans are basically just Democrats doing the speed limit or something.
Yep.
Yeah. Why don't you play the other clip from Australia?
This one is. I hope no kids watch this. I mean, not that we say or do anything bad, but if there is any kids watching this, probably not this one.
Well, you'll see. The point is that this was aimed at kids, and that's why it's so. There's no language or anything. It's just it's vulgar. It's vulgar visually. Crude. It's crude, but it was out in the open, and it turned into something. So.
By the way, Joseph, who's in our chat a lot, has a way better Australian accent than this guy in this video.
Oh yeah.
Point does inclusiveness pass too far? You got a fat man that's naked in a gimp costume with a cute teddy bear hat, right in.
Now, I was going to criticize this mural last night, but we got distracted by so many other issues. And as it happens, someone or some group of people took matters into their own hands overnight. They painted over the mural and daubed the words, "Leave the kids alone," right across it. I mean, hardly surprising, is it? A provocative mural provoked a response. The police say they're now investigating this as an act of vandalism. But many people would agree with basketball legend Andrew Bogut, who tweeted that the original mural was the vandalism.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
World pride and
beyond vandalism. It was borderline. I mean, if you showed that image to a kid as an adult, you should be locked up, right? Like if that's in a magazine and you're showing it to a kid.
Except now all that stuff's in textbooks at school.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, we're literally witnessing the disintegration of everything that Christendom built. Like Christendom has obviously been gone for a while, right? So we're living in a post-Christian society. What you're seeing, like people that are baffled by it, it's like what you're seeing is a civilization without Christ. And you're seeing what happens. And we're just at the beginning, believe it or not. Like things are going to get so much worse than they are.
I don't know how much worse they'll get though before like all the tension that's just simmering like lashes out. You know what I mean? Like
so
like Spain before the Civil War, before the Spanish Civil War. Like how long does it go on before these two sides, which are diametrically opposed to each other and everyone knows it, just both acknowledge that they cannot live together in the same, socio-political reality?
I think that Rwanda is where we are right now. So if you guys don't know what happened in Rwanda, Our Lady appeared to a group of girls. I think it was in the 80s. Like it was about a decade before the actual Rwandan genocide. And it was Our Lady of Kibeho. So if you guys have never seen that, look up Our Lady of Kibeho. And Mary came and warned these girls and said, if people do not change their ways and figure out a way to get along, there will be blood running through the streets, of like rivers of blood running through the streets. And a decade later, there was the Hutus and the Tutsis had a genocidal war. I don't remember which side got which. Do you? I think the Hutus killed the Tutsis.
I don't know. But the thing with that is like that is tribal bloodshed, whereas I think the ideological differences could
more like the Spanish Civil War.
Or I'm just saying they could make it worse than just tribal bloodshed.
But things are very tribal right now. But if did you ever watch the movie There Be Dragons that I told you to watch? You never watched it, right?
I don't generally watch. No.
Okay, so There Be Dragons is about the life of Jose Maria Escriva. Mm-hmm. It's not really though. It's about a guy who grew up with Jose Maria Escriva, and they were growing up during the time of the Spanish Civil War. What's funny is when you watch this movie, you see in the background the Spanish Civil War, and you hear the rhetoric, and it's crazy, bro. They talk about Antifa, they talk about fascists, and they talk about like it's the same exact rhetoric you're hearing in the US right now, and for them it boiled over into a civil war between the people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're extremely close to that,
with nuns and priests' bodies dug up and put on display, and something like 20,000 priests murdered. But you won't hear about that stuff.
Yeah, Hotel Rwanda is a great movie, and it details the Rwandan genocide. But really, to understand the Rwandan genocide properly, you really need to know what happened with Our Lady of Kibeho beforehand. So there's definitely a ton of there's documentaries on it. I know that for sure. So
I've actually never looked into that. You mentioned it once or twice before, but yeah, I've never heard about that. So I'll have to learn about that.
Oh, definitely, man. It's a great one. And people are saying it's unapproved. I think, are they talking about The Warning or Kibeho? Because Kibeho was approved. Kibeho was approved because all of the prophecies that Our Lady gave these young girls happened and they came true. So everybody's talking about prophecies and things like that, and Jason's talking about The Office.
Like usual.
What is he doing? What is he doing? All right, so let's move on to Biden falling up the stairs.
Cabale was approved in 2001,
Yes.
which of course was little late to help anyone. Good job, church.
Oh, okay. So, that's what you're saying. So you're saying by the time it was approved, it was too late. But the problem with approving something like that is you can't approve it until you see if the prophecies happen. Right? The church, because if the church approves it.
Approval just means that the church has determined
found nothing goes against doctrine.
No, because like Garabandal has been multiple times not approved by different local bishops. But the bishops all say there's nothing against faith or against church teaching in here. They just have found nothing to show that it's of supernatural origin. So an approval of an apparition just means that the church believes it is of supernatural origin.
Okay. Garabandal's a tough one, man, because I mean, there's some crazy supernatural things happen there. But if the bishop says no, I don't know. That's a tough one, man. See, like but then again, there are also prophecies from it that if those don't come true, it's like, I don't know. How can you?
Well, then and there's the whole tie-in between Garabandal and the exorcism of Annalise Michel, right? I don't know if you've heard that, where Annalise Michel, this was probably 10 years or so after the fact. She's German or Bavarian, Austrian, right? And Garabandal, like, at the time wasn't like super well known. It's not even super well known now, right? But a young girl in Bavaria a few years after the Garabandal apparitions would not have heard of them. But yet this girl who was supposedly possessed, the demons mentioned the Garabandal apparitions.
Do you know what they said?
I don't remember. More or less, like the Garabandal, like the apparitions are right. Like I know I had a tie into like communion in the hand and stuff like that. But.
See, the thing about Garabandal with the warning itself, right? Everybody always talks about the warning. Now, the warning is supposed to be this event that happens where it's going to be as if time stops and everybody has an illumination of conscience at the same time. Now, I just don't see that ever happening at any time in salvation history where because God doesn't, people have a hard time with the no salvation outside the church thing, right? Like that's a very hard one to explain to non-Catholics. It's like, well, what do you mean? I'm not Catholic. To non-Catholics, it's a very hard thing to explain to them. But the thing is, if you look throughout church history, God never went to everyone. Like it was always a chosen people, right? It was never meant to be every single person is going to be my child. So it's like, even when people say like, we're all children of God, like, no, we're all created in God's image and likeness.
But only the baptized are children of
God. Children of God, because we receive divine adoption at baptism. So I don't like when people say, oh, well, everybody's a child of God. No, you could see Christ in everybody because we're all created in God's image, but that's not technically true. We're not all children of God.
Even if you look at Fatima, like with the sun dancing, that event could have been shown to the whole world, but instead was shown to 60, 70,000 people in Portugal. So even that, which was probably the largest miracle in history, right, in terms of the largest public miracle in history, was still shown to a relatively select few.
Right. Can I just say, I'm so happy to see Molly in the chat. It's been so long.
she took up watching for her Lenten time.
Oh, is this a penance for you, Molly? They're in Lent. It was really nice to see you again. We miss you over here. It's just, I have a hard time seeing how God would do an illumination of conscience for the entire world. It's just never how he's operated throughout church history ever, right? So I don't know if maybe the girls misinterpreted what Mary was saying to her or something, but it just seems like a very far stretch for something like that to happen. And I'm not saying that God couldn't do it, She listens more than she lets on. Thank you. So it's like it just doesn't seem, not that it's not plausible. Like, I don't want to say that God can't do it. It just doesn't seem to match anything he's ever done throughout history. God, if anything, God's remnant theology is more appropriate, right? Where it's like God saves a remnant and preserves a remnant to then rebuild from that remnant, like he did at the time of Christ. Like the Jews, he didn't even save all the Jews at the time of Christ. Like he chose a remnant of the Jews and then went to the Gentiles. It just seems to go against everything we know about how God has operated throughout time. So I do have a tricky time with that one. We didn't do housekeeping.
I put her in the notes. I put her in the notes.
In the notes, and we didn't do it. I just opened the notes. That's why. Guys, please like and subscribe if you haven't yet. We honestly, we have like 40% of our viewers aren't subscribed. It's kind of bananas. But if you guys are in, just hit like real quick. It does help the algorithm. There was something else I wanted to say. Oh, dude. We had the whole men and women discussion the other day.
Yeah,
and then,
the friendship one.
Yeah, can men and women be platonic friends? So then I'm watching Enchanted with my daughter.
Tangled?
No, I thought it was Tangled.
You mean Frozen?
It was Frozen.
The amount of crap you got on Twitter for getting that wrong was hilarious.
It's like, I would have done it on purpose, got it wrong on purpose. But I watched Enchanted with my daughter, and my two nieces were over. We're watching Enchanted, and it's like this girl who's engaged comes into she's a cartoon, and she comes into the real world, and some guy tries to help her, and they're just friends. They're just friends, and he takes her out to coffee. Next thing you know, she leaves the fiance, and she's marrying this guy. It's the plot of every fairy tale of ever.
When Hope and I met, she had a boyfriend, and we tried the whole just friend thing, and now we're married and have our third kid on the way.
So look, she wasn't married right at the time, and I guess engaged isn't married either. But it just shows you that like you're playing with fire. That's all. That's all I was getting at. And the other thing is when I talked about the in-laws before. When we were in Pennsylvania for the Super Bowl, my sister-in-law, who was the one who like got up in my face about women working, she's like, women should be allowed to work. So she hasn't been working for the past like 6 months because the company she was working for closed down. She's a sonogram technician. So while we're in Pennsylvania, she goes, her husband, my brother-in-law, he goes, yeah, this company wants her to do sonograms. It's just one day a week, He's like, it'd be great. She's going to make like $50 an hour to go. It's one day a week. It just help us out a little bit. And she's like coming up with every excuse in the world to not go. And I'm like, what do you mean? Women got to work. I don't understand what you're talking about. She's like, shut up, Anthony. She's like, shut up, Anthony. Shut up. I'm like, Cassandra, no woman wants to work. You may have to work out of necessity. Like that may come up if like you really can't swing it. I don't judge anybody that, if the wife has to work or anything, but no woman wants to work. Like, why would she want to work? So that, let's see. Peter did try to fight for Jesus, and Jesus told him to put his sword away. Where did that come from?
I think I accidentally clicked it.
No, I know, but what was going on in the chat that I missed? Is anything?
Talking about how some of the apostles abandoned Christ, during his passion, things like that.
Oh, okay. And then what was the other one? Oh, dude. Oh, and Lent. Before we get off the Lent topic, so like switching over to what we're eating for Lent, like your stomach really goes nuts, right? Like I've been having a really rough 2 days in my stomach. Dude, I work with guys that we work out in the field, and we have dump trucks, and I think every guy I work with has jumped in the back of the truck and just used the back of the truck as a. When
I did tree work, our chip truck where we wood chipped all the trees into, yeah, definitely.
So I've been there for over 20 years. I've never once done that. Like I am.
Really?
Dude, I have such a phobia about going to the bathroom outside my house, dude. You have no idea. Yeah, you know what? We will, Kyle. I promise you, at the end of the show, we will tell everybody how to get these. And we did show them at the beginning of the show too. But yeah, so like I'm at work today and my stomach was so bad. I'm like, I just won't do. I just stayed crippled over like this all day, waiting to get home until I got home. I won't use.
That's right. I forgot that about you. That's even weirder than Jason's germophobia.
Yeah, dude, I won't go to the bathroom anywhere but my house. I mean, I don't think I can count.
I've seen you order $120 worth of Taco Bell, and yet you won't go to the bathroom.
I did not use that bathroom once in Steubenville.
I know you.
We did that for 3 days.
3 days with $120 in Taco Bell, and he waited till he drove.
I stuck it out, boy. I made it. And then the other story I had to tell. We went out to dinner on Saturday night with my wife's girlfriend, who she went to high school with. She went to high school with this girl. Jason says, I'll take Imodium AD before international flight so I could wait until I get to the hotel. Right, at a hotel I'll go, but like if there's other people there, I won't. Let's see. Anthony, you've been taking the Browns to the Super Bowl more often lately. Dropping the Huxtables off at the pool, maybe. Let me tell you something. When you switch over to the diet I do, it's not like dropping Huxtables off. It's more like a lava flow. it's so.
Jason, I really hope
bad.
Jason means to use Clorox wipes on the toilet.
Oh yeah, I don't blame him.
Not.
Yeah, so they're saying no wonder you have stomach issues. So all right, so we go out to dinner. Now this is my wife's high school friend who I've known since she's like 14 years old.
No.
And we're out at dinner, and I'm talking to the husband, and I look over, and my wife and her are talking about like, dude, I like talking about like hot flashes, and they're talking about like going like menopause is going to be coming soon, and like talking about like things with the kid. And I just look over at both of them and I go, like, when did this happen? You used to be the hot cool girl at school, and now you're talking about free menopause. Like, can you two stop this conversation? We're out to dinner. Can we talk about something fun and laugh a little bit? My wife gave me the look of death. Like she wanted to murder me.
There's very few times I verbally talk to you, and you don't say that line.
Listen to me. My wife is still the gorgeous cheerleader I married. I don't want to hear about your getting old issues. Like, don't talk to me about this stuff. I don't care about it. I don't want to hear it.
Just wait till you have to go in for prostate exams. We'll all hear about that, I'm sure.
Wait a minute, listen. With COVID, it's a every fart expect a short situation. Okay, now listen. I texted Rob this morning. I can't tell that story. There was a close call this morning. Let's just say that it didn't happen, but it was a close call. I had to turn around and just make sure everything was all right. That's all I'll tell.
Okay, with that, let's move on to our actual.
Let's move on. Yeah, it was a very close call. Listen, it's a crazy diet we switched over to. So, all right, we're gonna do our one. Is still gorgeous cheerleader she's married to. All right, so let's move on to our amazing president over in Ukraine, and as he's going up to Air Force One, the most amazing jet on the planet.
Thanks to the previous president.
Right, but let's just see how this goes.
Okay, let's do.
Yeah, Rob's a little slow. He's no Jamie. All right, here we go. He's going and he's saying, "Don't fall, don't 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 fall." Oh, crap, I fell. As he's going.
Remember, folks, he ran a sub 5 minute mile too.
As he's going up the stairs, that's all he's saying is, "Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. You got it, you got it." Now, there's probably like he gets up to a certain point, and then there's like a little flat way. Yeah. And then there's more steps, right? So you can see he gets up, and then when that flat away comes, it's like he forgets the steps after that. And he just right on his face.
What really happened is the person behind the little clone controller wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. All right, now should we get into the Kennedy stuff? Because Kennedy put out a tweet the other day.
Oh, that Kennedy. I'm like, we're talking about the Kennedys this episode?
Let's get into the... so Kennedy Hall put out a tweet, And the tweet was, when they canonize Pope Francis, will you still believe the process is infallible? So Rob and Jason were discussing this in our group chat, and I didn't say a word. And then I just figured I'd steal the conversation and bring it to you guys. So
this happens quite often, actually.
So what are we required as Catholics to believe about the canonization process?
So what I'm about to show is Fundamentals of Catholic Dogma by Ludwig Ott. It was written, I want to say 30s, 40s, 50s, somewhere around there, maybe a little earlier, but before Vatican II.
Wait, Ott is that recent?
I forget if it's Ott or Denzinger that's more recent. I think Denzinger is more
20th
recent.
century?
Yeah, at least end of late 19th century, beginning 20. Yeah, I mean it's within it's within 100-ish years, right?
Yeah,
But,
I was thinking. I always thought Ott was like right after Trent. I mean, I don't know anything. I thought it was like right after Trent.
No. Ott died in 85. He was born in 1906. So I think he did this in the 50s. I think he wrote it right before the last Marian Dogma in 58. So I think it's been updated since then with that Marian Dogma. But anyways, so all I'll say about Ott is Ott himself is obviously not infallible. So he can be wrong with this stuff. But what he says is that secondary objects of infallibility are truths of Christian teaching on faith and morals, which aren't formally revealed in either scripture or tradition or in councils or anything like that, but they're closely connected with the teaching of revelation. They're closely connected to primary objects of infallibility. So he basically says that the church cannot achieve the purpose of, preserving and interpreting the deposit of the faith if she could not infallibly decide these doctrines which are intimately linked with those. And some of these secondary objects of infallibility are, well, you can see them here, but the one we're, of course, interested in is the canonization of saints. So Ott says that the final judgment that a member of the church has been assumed into heaven is a secondary object of infallibility. And he says that conclusion is sententia certa, which is more or less theologically certain, which that level of theological note has to be believed on pain of the mortal sin of error. So you're not a heretic if you don't believe it, but you are in the mortal sin of error. This is all according to Ott, and what he's talking about is the fact that someone who is sainted is in heaven. He's not saying that the church says that.
Well, here's what we were saying. So all that is required is what I think it was Susie said it, right? Sally Sue. So all that is required to believe is that the person is in heaven. So the church is infallible in its proclamation in that. Now, the reason this gets iffy is because the canonization process has drastically changed over the past few decades. They no longer have a devil's advocate, and a devil's advocate would rifle through a person's life looking for things to cause scandal to not make this person a saint. Now, the other thing that Francis has kind of skipped over, like with Paul VI, was that second miracle that was needed and things like that.
As well as actually having a true cultus of devotion to
and
that
a
person.
cult. Exactly. So people don't realize this, but like for most saints, you need to have a cult around that person. So the thing is, the process could be off, right? And the church can err in prudence about whether it's actually good to venerate this part. Like I don't think Paul. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say infallibility. Like people have this misconception that infallibility means that when the church does something infallible, that means it was the best thing that could be done. And that's not true. Infallibility is a negative charism. So all it does is it protects the church from stating something erroneously.
Erroneous.
So in this case, it protects the church from saying someone who is in hell is in heaven, but it doesn't protect the church from doing something that is stupid or imprudent. You know what I mean? Canonizing Paul VI may or may not be smart or prudent at this time. It may be a terrible decision to do in general, but the charism of infallibility does say that they might have been stupid, but they're right. He's in heaven.
So Teresa, to your question, no, we do have to believe that, right? So you can ask for Saint Pope Paul VI intercession. You can, like the church has declared him a saint infallibly. But what I would say is, there wasn't a cult around him, and I don't think he lived a life worthy of emulating. Right, like that's usually what because there are many saints that aren't canonized. This isn't that, like, being a saint just means that you're beholding the beatific vision and you are with God. Now, the reason the church proclaims certain saints is because they lived a life of extraordinary holiness that they want to set and give us as an example for us to emulate our lives. Look, a saint is basically this: there is something of the divine in their person. Like there's an aspect of them that you see. There's an aspect of Christ in them, right? Like there's an aspect of Christ's life that is in them. No saint is completely Christ, but some of them have an aspect of him that is so close to Christ-like that we consider them worthy of veneration. I mean, right? I mean, that's a pretty easy way to explain it.
Yeah. So, Kennedy's tweet, not to agree or disagree with him. This was just kind of a conversation starter.
Yeah, it was just a conversation starter.
Like I don't want to speak for Kennedy, but I would say he probably doesn't have a problem necessarily with believing someone is in heaven if the church says so. I think what he's saying here is that the new process is a lot less stringent. And it is prone to making a lot more prudential error in who we canonize as saints. And the process can change. I mean, the process that was prior to this had been around. There used to be no process. A local bishop could proclaim, a local person a saint, and Ott would still say that is infallible, even though there was really no process. So the process is kind of a moot point, other than it does help us make better prudential decisions as to who really is deserving of general universal devotion.
Yeah. So Teresa's saying so we should ask intercession from those we are sure. So Teresa, what I would say is you should have a favorite saint, and you should try to find a saint that maybe touched your life in a very specific way. It could be a new saint, it could be an older saint. It doesn't really matter. You should try to find a saint that you have a particular devotion to because you just feel a kinship with them, or you love something about their life, some aspect of their life, something that makes you feel a connection to that saint. And I would say it doesn't matter where, when that saint was canonized, right? So Mrs. C says most trads in general call him Padre Pio, even those of us that have a devotion to him, it's not a setting, right? Yeah,
Lawrence,
I call him Padre Pio.
Yeah. That mostly, yeah. I'd call him Padre Pio because that's what I knew him as prior, right?
Right, but do they consider him a saint? That's all Enoch was getting at. But yeah, I call him Padre Pio too. Now, Padre Pio is one of my favorite saints. I mean, it started with watching that movie Padre Pio Miracle Man, and the actor who played him in that movie did such a great job of him that it caused me to start reading books on him, and then and it's not that I've had any miracles in my life by praying to him or anything. I just always felt like I was his spiritual son for some reason, Yeah, a lot of people have this opinion, that's for sure. Paul VI is canonized to canonize the council.
And I feel that's probably true. That's probably the reason it was done.
I agree.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that he's not in heaven.
Yeah, guys, what is required to get to heaven? Not dying in a state of mortal sin, right? I mean, then you have to go through purgatory. I mean, you have to go through purgatory, but just, I mean,
Well,
that's,
if you
you know,
think of it,
you
a
assume that,
pope got last rites.
yeah,
Probably made a confession. If they weren't able to, like Paul, John JP2 was, I would assume, physically unable to, because he was pretty much incapacitated for a while before his death. But if they're unable to, they're still granted pardon from their sins. They receive viaticum, and then they're given the apostolic pardon. So, and the apostolic pardon would actually get them out of purgatory too. So, and even if they were in purgatory, if a pope has a billion Catholics around the world praying for him after death,
offering sacrifice.
Yeah. Once again, I'm not
masses.
saying it's a necessarily a good idea to spread devotion to Paul VI or even JP2 necessarily. I'm just saying I think it's a safe bet they're probably in heaven.
So now, so as far as asking intercession through Lefebvre wouldn't be a thing for SSPX, how can he be declared a saint? So you can still ask for the intercession even of a loved one, because I believe that souls in purgatory can pray for us, but they can't pray for themselves, right? Is that what it is?
I'm not sure on that. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure souls in and you could always pray for someone who's passed and maybe ask for their intercession, not knowing for sure they're in heaven, but if they're in heaven, please pray for me. Yeah, something like that. So,
and even then, the church has never banned private devotion to.
Yeah, how does a cult start? How does a cult start?
Starts.
A cult starts before the person is canonized.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah. So there's nothing wrong with anyone, praying to Lefebvre or anyone else.
Right. So even look at from Peoria, Illinois. Used to Sheen, Archbishop Fulton Sheen, right? People are constantly asking for his intercession because we want to get the canonization process going. There have been miracles through his intercession before he's an actual saint. So, I mean, there's no issue with praying to someone who has passed on, whether you know where they are or not. So, what was the other actual Catholic topic we wanted to get to tonight? There was...
there's the canonization. There is... Oh, the Knights of Columbus.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, the Knights of Columbus. The Knights of Columbus have decided that they want to be the propaganda machine for the United States government, apparently.
It does seem that way. And full disclosure, I have been a Knight of Columbus. I don't know if I'm going to pay my yearly dues after seeing this, but we will...
Oh, and Father Amorth we have to get to. So we'll do this, and then we'll do Father Amorth after.
Okay. Share the screen here. So this is a trailer for a movie produced by the Knights of Columbus, a documentary on their support for Ukraine, and it's going to be aired on ABC.
Now, we have to be careful. Now, pause this real quick because this is on YouTube. We have to make sure you stop it every 15 or 20 seconds and talk over it. Otherwise, they will cut our thing. I've seen it 100 times on other channels. So play it for 15 seconds and we'll pause it and talk over it.
It has happened. This is Ukraine's capital. What seemed unthinkable in the 21st century is now underway.
Repercussions of this war,
since
they've displaced so.
So at first, I'm just going to say it starts off and you get the feeling like maybe they're just going to talk about how they provided support for a people, like the citizens who really had no hand either way in this. And they're just there to help people in general. And at first I'm like, well, if that's what this is, that's not so terrible, right? But just wait.
So many will be devastating.
Боялися навіть вийти з хати. Дорога була теж небезпечна і страшна. То не фільм, то реальність. I just hope that people who I love will be alive.
Solidarity.
Yeah, so what's the saddest part is that I'm surprised they were able to get a movie done with all the Fish Friday that they're trying to plan between selling insurance.
I have been asked already if I'm going to help out at the Fish Friday tomorrow, and I'm going to.
The saddest part about this is not is the people of Ukraine are suffering, right? Like they are being the poor people of Ukraine are being used right now
in Russian men, right? Like,
yep, Russian men.
Everyone on all sides are being used here.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird how we only focus on the pain and suffering of the Ukrainians because we have this propaganda coming through that Russia's 100% wrong and Ukraine's completely innocent. So let's keep going with it.
And the presence of the church is something that is connected to a global, universal community.
So this is when it starts to get real propaganda-like here.
I was encouraged by so many individuals and organizations coming together to help Ukraine.
In prayer, we are united for the cause of the peace of Ukraine.
The Ukrainian nation is undergoing such a tragedy. We cannot change those circumstances, but we can say, "I am."
I've seen so many channels play like too long of a video, and then YouTube just kills the feed on them. You know. Let's see. That priest talking in the trailer was on Matt Fradd's channel just a few months ago. The entire stream was just nonstop pro-Ukraine, anti-Russian propaganda. Is that Jason Sharon?
No, I don't. I think it may or may not be, but I know he's had multiple Ukrainian priests.
Oh, okay. Well, of course he's going to be if he's a Ukrainian priest. I mean, he's. But okay, so let's go.
With you.
Yeah, it's like it's a purely propaganda, right? It's like it's just they're at war and they people have such a narrow understanding of what happened over there. And it's crazy because if you listen to any media outlet, right or left, unless you're listening to some independent media, you're not going to understand what's going on over in Ukraine and that we have such a large role in why Russia even is over there right now and how America is probably most of the cause of it.
Well, I mean, we overthrew their popularly elected government in 2014, which was pro-Russian. The thing with Ukraine is, you got to understand they're surrounded on all sides by other ethnicities and nations that don't like them and that they don't like. I mean, this is just Eastern Europe in general. This part of Europe is called the Bloodlands because of blood feuds and genocides that have gone back 1,000 years. So not only does Ukraine not only does part of Ukraine not like the Russians, but the other part of Ukraine hates the Poles. And like there was a genocide and war with the Poles right after World War II. So it's with Ukraine, it's always picking one side or the other against the other side, right? So prior to 2014, the more Russian-leaning side, the eastern part of Ukraine that was more ethnically Russian, and the side that had been really beaten up by the Poles, they elected a pro-Russian leader, and Ukraine started to move over in that direction politically, right? Yeah. Well, then in 2014, the CIA helped overthrow that, and the Color Revolution helped overthrow that government and put more or less a Western proxy government.
Yeah.
That moved Ukraine more towards NATO. And
ironically, when Zelensky ran, he ran on a platform of peace to try and then he gets in and the people above him basically told him, you're going to do what we say, or we're going to have a color revolution again on you and we're going to take you out. Like he's when you talk about puppet regimes, like he is the epitome of a puppet regime. How much money the Knights took from the U.S. feds to make that? Exactly. 100%.
Not just that, how much do they take from dues from insurance? Like whether or not you are, anti-Ukraine or pro-Russian or whatever, like, it doesn't. The fact that they're being used seemingly by the U.S. government to produce propaganda should be a red flag.
Yeah, let's be clear about something. We want the church and the Knights of Columbus over there helping the people suffering in war-torn Ukraine. Like, that's not what we're saying. Like, yes, the church is the body of Christ, and we should be helping in any way we can possibly do it. The issue is the propaganda film, like the
if
Russia
the roles
is
were
the bad
reversed,
guy.
you think, like, that's another thing people don't like. Russian forces invaded the territory of Ukraine, sure, but the evidence really points to Ukraine actually starting this thing. There was 2,000 ceasefire treaty violations in the 2 weeks prior to Russia's invasion. I mean, it really looks like they were responding to attacks. But regardless, I mean, do you really think?
I don't think they were doing that on their own. I think they were doing that at the behest of the West.
Of us, 100%. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they were using our weapons to. They've been.
Yeah.
Like, Ukraine's military is a mishmash of old Soviet stuff mixed with whatever we can give them, and it's been that way now since 2014. So
yeah.
But
now, let me ask you something.
Do you think the Knights of Columbus would do this for Russia if Ukraine soldiers had invaded? No.
Let me ask you something. Like, we keep talking about like Biden's going over, handing over $500 million, but he's not really giving them cash, right? Like, we're giving them military equipment, right?
I think it's a mixture.
I think, like, we're giving them our old military equipment, and then we're just making the new stuff for ourselves. Like, I'm kind of all right with that. If that's what we're doing.
If you've heard reports from American soldiers, they're literally having newer weapons taken out of their hands and out of the armories to be sent over to Ukraine.
Oh, that's insane.
Like
I have no problem if, like, the U.S. Army is like, all right, we got to clean out our old stuff and, like, get rid of it, and we don't want to sell it to the Taliban. Let's just use all our stuff that we don't use anymore and send it to Ukraine. We'll make it look like we're doing something nice, and now we can use our money to go re-up our whole arsenal. Like, that I might not be so upset at.
The thing is, our military's, I wouldn't say bare bones at this point, but, it's not what it was at the end of the Cold War. Granted, technology has changed so much, but, like, we don't have a navy. Like, our military doctrine used to be to have a military that could fight 2 major wars and a brush war at the same time.
Look at Max Hunters use laptops. and then Teresa makes a good point. What are the Knights of Columbus doing for the victims in Ohio, the train crash? That's a good point.
I wouldn't be surprised if the local councils were doing
if they're doing something local, yeah.
But I know they're not getting a propaganda film made for them.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we do Father Amorth, because we're hitting the 1 hour mark, and we could always do some stuff after. But let's definitely. Can you pull that trailer up? Because I didn't send it to you. I know that
you didn't send it to me.
No, I don't think I did.
I can find it.
So this started because I saw Russel Crowe change his profile pic to a still of him from the movie that he's doing portraying Father Amorth. So I tweeted out this morning. I said, Russel Crowe is going to be Father Amorth. And Enoch said, I saw the trailer. It doesn't look good. So I was like, well, what does he mean by it doesn't look good? Like, what are they doing with this? Now, they took this amazing exorcist and they made a cartoon of his life. In other words,
some of these, like the exorcism of Emily Rose, right, was based on the exorcism of Annalise Michel, and they changed things. There was some artistic license there, but it was more to put it in our modern time and modern America, whereas Annalise Michel was in the 70s in Germany, right? So, but more or less, it's one of the more accurate exorcism movies.
Not just that, they did a really good job on that movie. Like, if you're going to go watch an exorcism movie, more than The Exorcist, go and watch The Exorcism of what is it actually called? Emily Rose. Go watch that movie, because the Catholicism in it is beautiful. Like, they actually get it right. There obviously is, there's going to be stuff where they have the girl floating on the ceiling, things like that. They're always going to do that, The Right too. Yeah. Anthony Hopkins was in The Right. I still liked The Right as a movie, even though they did.
It wasn't so like it was still a psychological thriller, whereas what this looks to be is that they took maybe the name Gabriel Amorth and put it on a just a terribly made horror movie, right? Like,
yeah, it looks like a cheesy horror movie. So Teresa says Annalise was abused. The priest was guilty as well as the parents. She had epilepsy.
It's a controversial subject because she did end up dying after 10 months of exorcism, but and that exorcism, as far as I know, wasn't given the approval by those priests ordinary. But it's an interesting subject, that's for sure.
I mean, you listen to the tapes of Annalise; they're pretty creepy.
I think that one gets a lot of hate and is kind of denigrated by members of the church because of what was said by Annalise.
I think so too. I don't think I would trust.
Right.
Yeah, when you listen to those tapes, it sounds legit.
I've heard the people that know more than I do anyway say not that she was starved, but just that she wouldn't eat no matter what. That even when she was when they tried to force fluids and things like that, that she just wasn't having it. So, and
also the whole point was that. I mean, the point of the movie was that she offered herself as a victim soul.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I never studied the actual case itself. I can only tell you what the movie said. But let's check out Russel Crowe's version of Father Amorth.
Whatever you do, you only do because God allows it. Did you allow that?
First off, a demon possessing someone they can affect that person, but not someone else. So it's kind of wrong off the bat.
Yeah, and also when you see the Pope come on, pause it then too,
because he does not look like JP2 at all.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which Pope it is because let's see.
Fr Gabriel Amorth. On the night of June 4th, you performed an exorcism.
That was not an exorcism. The majority of cases do not require an exorcism.
98% are recommended by.
Yeah, so let's pause it real quick. So when it says
is meant to be Sarah or someone,
maybe Arinze,
Yeah.
But it when they say inspired by the actual files, it's like, why couldn't they just do a real movie on Father Amorth? It's got to be this clown Hollywood,
or just do a fake exorcism movie with they're obviously just using the name,
as
a form of marketing,
of course.
And psychiatrists.
The other 2%, I call it evil.
We have more questions for you, Father Amorth.
You have a problem with me? You talk to my boss.
Now, who is that supposed to be?
When was the last time a pope had a beard?
Is that Benedict or is that JP2? I don't know which one it's supposed to be.
I can't recall. I can't remember the last time I saw a picture of a pope with a beard.
Is there any pictures of Benedict with a beard or JP2?
His whole life, I don't know, man. But if they're making this about Gabriel Amorth, and they're going to use his name and try to make his likeness.
Yeah, they should make this Pope John Paul II. Yeah, try to find a Pole who kind of looks like. All right, let's go.
Yeah, it can't be that hard to find a guy with the name hard to spell. Also, he wasn't like the whole Vatican chief exorcist. He was just the one exorcist in the Diocese of Rome. So he wasn't the Vatican's exorcist or the Pope's exorcist.
Okay. He was the exorcist in the Diocese of Rome.
He was exactly.
Oh.
There is a case that needs your attention.
The priest.
Bring me the priest.
Right.
I was just gonna go into that. Let my people go. I still think that was one of the funniest bits we ever did on this show. For anybody that doesn't know what we're doing, we were making fun of Christian Bale in
Moses.
He was
Exodus.
No, it was actually was it the Exodus? Yeah, the movie was called The Exodus, and because Christian Bale does the Batman voice, we were trying to quote a whole bunch of lines from Exodus, saying,
"I'm Moses.
I'm Moses. Let my people go." All right, let's go.
Is the Vatican sealed? The Church has fought against this demon before. The Vatican covered it up. We need to find out why.
You've been played. You took the bait.
Lauren says that's her kids when she says it's time to go to bed. That little kid speaking in that voice, the little kid in the it's her kids when it's time to go to bed.
Whatever you do, you only do because God allows it.
Oh, you gotta do the head turn like from the original Exorcist movie, right?
If the devil possessed the soul of the Pope's exorcist,
Like the devil doesn't possess the soul. Like that's.
Yeah, it's just the theology is all right. I don't even think we need to finish this trailer. If you guys want to see the trailer, you can check it out. But it's just funny how they just have to go the gimmick route. And what Enoch said is so true, man. It's like there's always some silly twist where the exorcist ends up possessed. Same with the right. So in the right, it was now an exorcist has to go to confession before he does an exorcist every time, right? I would imagine. Can't be mortal sin.
Have to, but I know they almost every exorcist I've heard say that they do.
Yeah, like to go into an exorcism while you're in mortal sin or something. Otherwise, it's like I don't know, but that's the Hollywood gimmick. Like they're gonna make Father Amorth get possessed.
Now, I have heard a story about one priest who did try to use that as a way to. Who was it? I think it was Father Lampert, who was just on Pints with Aquinas, talked about an exorcist who did invite the demon possessing the person he was helping into himself to free that person, and then that person was freed, and then that priest did go into a mental decline and ended up killing himself. So there is at least one known case of it. Yeah.
See, you really can't. You cannot mess around with this. That's like the stupidity I had when I said, "Lord, I don't have any suffering. I'm willing to take on some suffering." Like you really got to be careful with that kind of stuff. I've been getting cluster headaches ever since for 15 years now. You really can't play around with stuff like that, man. And I would think a priest would be smart enough to not do something like that. But yeah, Rick says, of course the Vatican covered it up. But Rick, honestly,
I was gonna say that's probably the most realistic part of the whole thing.
It's like the only thing I believe in the current state of things right now.
At first, when they were breaking into the wall and the Vatican covered it up, I'm like, oh, they're gonna talk about that girl that went missing in the 80s, or I don't know if you've heard that story.
Yeah, I saw I started watching that series, the Vatican girl.
You told me about that series.
Yeah, let me ask you something. You listened to the Exorcist Files podcast. I never actually checked that out. What's going on with that? What is that?
I'm kind of torn about it. I haven't heard it say anything that's actually in terms of what they say about exorcism and that it seems pretty solid, but at the same time, I don't know how I feel about the overt dramatization of exorcisms as a form of entertainment, because it does seem to be more entertainment focused than necessarily educational focused. And then also being done by iTunes Radio, about 50% of the ads that they put in it are about another podcast done by some gay fashion designer about some homosexual show. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
So as far as the podcast itself, what they've said has been pretty right on as far as I know. But I think as a whole, I wouldn't necessarily not recommend it, but I wouldn't go out of my way to recommend it to people when they're going to hear ads for some of the.
I got to tell you, Rick's constantly mentioning like older movies that
Constantine is good.
I loved Constantine. I thought it was a great movie.
It's
I
not
mean, it's
necessarily
clearly
like
fictional.
Catholic, right? But
No, it's got very Catholic themes in it though, right? And it's like even Constantine at the end of the movie like he had to perform some act of sacrificial love in order to, you know, actually move on. Like I honestly really I might have to rewatch that one.
I did not know that.
1917 Code of Canon Law forbade beards for Roman priests. I think we actually did a trivia question in like there was a council that forbade it. And one of the early councils forbade it.
This would be way cooler if the last pope with a bear was Innocent the 12th. That would be sweet.
Oh, he wrote bear instead of beard. I gotta say, man, when I see like Rick and Enoch sticking around for the whole show, like it gives me hope that we're actually a decent show.
They just feel bad for what Steve said.
I mean, I do watch their show every week. I watch News from the Fuse every episode, so it is very cool to see like our friends check our show out, man. Let's see. Oh, you know who we have on Tuesday, Rob? We got Jeremy McClellan coming on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then so we had Jeremy on for an episode of trivia, and I felt like the trivia kind of like outshined him. You know, like we didn't really give Jeremy a chance to be funny. We had too many people.
He was on a stream with like 8 other people. And didn't know what the heck was going on.
Yeah, and I honestly think Jeremy is a very, very funny comedian, man. And I'm hoping that he comes around my city sometime so I can go meet him in person and check him out. I'd really like to. And I know he's friends with a couple of other Catholic comedians, maybe Gaffigan, and maybe we could get him to put a good word in with Kevin James.
I'd much rather have Kevin James over Jim Gaffigan.
Of course. I'd even take Jennifer Fulwiler on, you know, have her on. I mean, we try to keep these shows
I thought
funny.
we wanted funny people on.
Oh, stop it, Rob. I'm not going to play that game, you misogynist.
Oh, come on. That game.
If anyone is interested, I'm interviewing Alfalfa on Monday on my channel. No, I did see. Oh, yeah, that's right. He has Bug Hole. Enoch has Bug Hole coming on. Let's see.
Do we want to get into the Gremlins next, or
let's just do it. Come on,
or what do you want?
Oh, Lauren, you gonna do something about this? I know where she lives.
That's because Lauren is a stalker. If you guys don't know, Lauren has legit creeper stalker skills.
Well, the thing is, we try to touch on things that are lighthearted on our show. I mean, we've said it 100 times, but like I feel like how many times can you listen to the same? Like it's like when a thing hits Catholic YouTube, it's like every single host does that thing, you know. And it's like, and those guys are better at it than we ever could be.
Like the Responsa, or you know, whatever that just came up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check Marshall out or Gordon out. Like I'm not. Don't come to me for that kind of stuff. Like we're gonna goof on Corey Feldman on this show, you know. We love you too, Rick. So I'm saying, but Tuesday we do have Jeremy McClellan, but I want to do the avoiding the news from the pews of Babylon crossover, and I don't know how we're going to work this out, but I say it every episode. Those guys are my favorite other show we interact with.
Yeah.
Those guys are by far my favorite other show that we're friends with. So if we can figure that out, man, we have to. But yeah, let's get to the physiognomy topic. Let's get to physiognomy.
Do we want to start with the video or the picture of all of them together?
Let's go video, and then we'll show the picture of all of them.
I haven't watched this video either. I just
saw
the thumbnail and I'm like, nope.
All right, so this girl is the girl who was the lead, the jury foreman for the Trump grand jury to indict him in Georgia. I'm sure most of you have seen this video.
I can see that her voice is going to annoy me.
Let's get into this nut.
Did the grand jury recommend an indictment of former President Trump?
I'm not going to speak on exact indictments.
What is with
so
this
nothing
file?
that would surprise people who have been following this.
Probably not. I wouldn't want to characterize anyone else's reaction, of course, but so that was when we heard a lot in testimony. But probably not.
Did you personally want to hear from the former president?
I wanted to hear from the former president, but honestly, I kind of wanted to subpoena the former president because I got to swear everybody in. And so I thought it'd be really cool to get 60 seconds with President Trump of me looking at him and being like, do you solemnly swear? And me getting to swear him in. I kind of just thought that would be an awesome moment.
There are indictments recommended, of course.
Do we continue?
Yeah, play the whole thing. Come on, this is gold.
More than 12 people? Is it more than 20 people?
Fool's gold, maybe.
I think if you look at the page numbers of the report, there's about 6 pages in the middle that got cut out. Allow for spacing. It's not a short list.
Not a short list.
All right, this goes clearly off her rocker. We can take it over.
What would your
Right?
reaction be if the DA decides?
Oh,
against
now you don't want to
bringing
make fun
any
of that
charges
the
after
handicap.
what you've seen?
All right. So the funny thing is,
I would be sad if nothing.
the funny thing is that they found this girl's Pinterest, and let's see if I can find
She's a
it on
witch,
this.
right?
Yes, she's a witch. She's a Wiccan witch. This girl. This girl.
Are you sure? Because to me, she looks like a gremlin.
So me and Rob wanted to like make a joke about like the state of these girls, but we don't want to make fun of people's appearances. Like it's not their fault they were born this way, but it's not
their fault they're idiots. But
yes, that is the thing. Like these girls have completely bought in on the cult, like the whole lie, all of it. It's just wild. Like the children that Gen X produced.
now this one, the one on the lower right is the girlfriend of that
FTX
billionaire, right?
Yeah, FTX. The one above her is the cop who they were having a Ohio train derailment on. And then Greta. Everybody knows Greta.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So let's see. Okay. Ew to the Wiccan, not their face. Yes, agreed. So yeah, we're not trying to make fun of their look so much as just these are your liberal women. This is gentlemen who are single. I really feel bad for you guys. Like me and my wife have, you can take them off. I don't even want to look at them. Me and my wife have conversations all the time about like I am just so glad I did not grow up in the Tinder era. Like I'm so happy I did not have to online date or meet girls that way. Like I met my wife in high school, in middle school, met my wife and we started dating in high school. And I knew within 6 months of dating my wife, like senior year, I knew I was marrying my wife. It was never like a question in my mind. Which one are you trying to break up with?
Upper right.
That's mean.
What?
No, I think the jury 4 person is good for Rick. I mean, for Brick.
Rick's married. Come on now.
Brick can fix her, dude. Yes, after the braces. Well, she had the braces in middle school. So when we were in middle school is when I said that to her. I said, when you get the braces off, you're going to be so hot. And then we dated when we were in 10th grade after she got the braces off because I would not date her.
You're a man of your word.
I'm a man of my word, and I was right. So we dated in 10th grade from 15 to 16, and we broke up for 11th grade. And in 11th grade, I got in all sorts of trouble. I got in a whole lot of trouble in 11th grade.
You know why? Because you didn't watch this video.
Oh, I forgot. Yes, I forgot. Let's go.
The fact that you sent, I saw this, I'm like, oh man,
I love that. Okay, so wait. Set up. Okay, guys. I do research for the show. Like Don constantly makes fun of me that I don't do show prep. I do research. This is research, okay? So today I went and I started researching 90s sexual harassment policy videos.
Anthony, Googling 90s sexual harassment videos is not research.
It's show prep. That's all I'm saying. It's not research, but it's show prep. All right, let's check out in the 90s what they thought was.
What sort of, because I know the other one you sent that we definitely cannot show. What sort of disclaimers do I have to put up for this?
This one's not bad. It's just creepy, like the guy in it. Like it's just something so preposterous. Like Lawrence says, "Oh boy, here we go again." Sorry, sorry, Rob. All right, go ahead. Here we go again. This is something you're not going to see on Taylor Marshall, guys. That's all I'm telling you.
And this is also why you won't see Taylor Marshall on here.
You're probably right.
Against your company's policy. So what is sexual harassment?
Linda, you are doing a fine job here.
Oh, well, thank you, Steve.
But you know, you might try dressing a little sexier at work.
I'm sorry?
I mean, we're talking about your job here.
There may be physical harassment.
Wow. You're really tense today, Nancy.
Ow, Bill.
Sorry. You looked really tense.
You know, I really don't like it when you do that. Can you please stop?
I'll never stop.
All right, I know we shouldn't be laughing at this.
Wow.
Wait a minute. I need to know, like, was this ever really going on like that bad? Like, this is your job we're talking about. You better show some skin there, toots. Like,
I don't know.
I think if you go back to like the 60s, like right when they started having women in the workplace, like if you watch Mad Men and stuff, like I think that's the stuff that was going on. Like you'd have a higher up, like, putting a lot of pressure on a woman that's, oh, you want to make it in this business, things like that. There's probably a little pinching of the rear end going on, but I don't know. That guy's like rubbing her shoulder. She's like, leave me alone. He's like, I'll never stop. Like, just gotta say, there's only one woman in my workplace, and she doesn't complain when I do that.
For the record, I'm pretty sure he works at home, guys.
Yeah, I know. That's his wife. No, but when I go upstairs, I'm going to tell my wife, I'm going to say, you might want to think about showing a little skin here, honey. This is your job we're talking about. I think that was a good note to end on tonight, man. Wait, let me just check the list. Let me make sure there wasn't another gem in there, because I did send you some funny stuff today.
Well, we never got to Clintoncide.
Dude, can I just tell you, before the show, Kyle texted me and he goes, yo, when you're talking about Clinton tonight, I'm gonna have a pizza delivered to Rob's house. Just so, like, while we're talking about Clinton, there's a knock on your door.
Joke's on you, Kyle. There's no pizza delivery place around here for 100 miles.
Yeah. Well, besides that, I said it would go to waste. Rob gave up. Rob gave up cheese for Lent.
No, I didn't. I gave up meat.
Oh, meat. Oh, I thought you gave up cheese too.
Pizza is going to be one of my serious go-tos this Lent.
Dude, when I tell you how much I am going to miss pizza during Lent. Oh, we didn't get to the Biden's the trans airport thief. We never got to that, but I think everybody's talked about that.
I'm pretty sure we saw him in that one commercial anyways.
So I think that was a good note to end on, guys. Let us know if you are enjoying our videos. Please leave comments afterward. Remember that we do have Jeremy McClellan coming on Tuesday. We're hoping that he fits in with this dynamic pretty well, and then we're going to try and set something up with the news from the Pew guys. Rob, we got any other house cleaning? What do we got to promote?
I would just say, if you guys ever see a funny story or video or something that you think would work well on a show, you can either email them to us at our email, team@avoidingbabylon.com, or if you have already, join the Telegram chat. That link is in the description, and send it on there too. Either way. But even if you don't have something funny to share, join the Telegram chat. It's pretty fun most times.
Yeah, I would say that's a great suggestion though. Like if you guys see like a really funny video, I mean, listen, if it's something that's making the rounds, this is most likely I'll catch it. But if you see something that like isn't making the rounds where everybody's seeing it, maybe an old
if there's
video,
something local that you think would be funny, like we're never gonna see, I don't see news at all because of where I live, but
Lowell, Wisconsin. You see some on the local news down there. But also, guys, I am telling you, if somebody could get themselves into a live shot of a news program and yell out, check out Avoiding Babylon on YouTube, I will throw you $200 if you send us the video of you jumping on there. I mean, that is like, I want that more than anything. So if anybody can pull that off, you got $200 coming to you. So just
for the record, if you somehow end up in prison because of it, you still only get $200.
No, we'll start a GoFundMe. We'll get you bailed out. Don't worry about it. You just get in touch with Team at Avoiding Babylon.
We know a lawyer.
Just get in touch with Team at Avoiding Babylon, and we will get you out. Don't worry about it. Dude, if somebody can check out Avoiding Babylon on YouTube into a live news shot, oh my gosh.
And if anyone is pretty sure that they really can do it and wants an Avoiding Babylon shirt to wear while doing it, let me know ahead of time and I'll send you one.
Yes, definitely. Also, Kyle's mugs. How can they get Kyle's mugs?
So Kyle says that you have to join his Discord.
Send them to our store, Rob.
Send them to our.
Tell everybody to go to our store. We do have a store.
I'm the only one that's bought. You've never even bought anything from our own
I'm going
store.
to. I forgot we even had it.
I think the link for that is in the description too. But
yeah,
Lauren, we do have a merch store.
We have a merch store. Yeah, if you guys want to help us out, go buy some of the merch. There's a bunch of Avoiding Babylon shirts on there. There's some mugs.
There's
I
wanted
sippy cups.
We'd have to go through a different merch store.
What do we have? A Teespring store or something?
I forget. It's Selfie or something like that. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Yeah, we do have Lauren said we need an Avoiding Babylon merch store. We do have one. Rob will figure that out. Rob, we'll start promoting that a little bit.
Here, I'll throw the link in the chat right now.
If you guys are not subscribed to News from the Pew, go subscribe to that. Also check out Mag Dump, Rick Barrett's new show on typically gun talk. Check out Tradmen and also Integrated with Angela Erickson. Am I missing anyone?
I don't think so.
Are we missing anyone?
Connor.
Oh, that's who we're missing. Connor McHugh.
I knew you were doing that on purpose. I wanted to see if you would take it so far as to completely forget him.
Guys,
even Don says Connor.
Yeah, thank you guys for checking us out. I think we should go out with Corey Feldman tonight.
Do we really have to though?
I think we should go out with Corey Feldman. The people demand it. The people demand. Oh, Spiritus TV also. If you guys don't have an account over Spiritus TV, please go and get an account over there. And
we have like tripled our subscribers over there in the last week
because we mentioned it.
Because we mentioned it. So if you guys do not have an account over there, go set up an account. And hopefully, we're hoping that one day the technology is so good over there that we could just move everything over there, and then we can have conversations that we don't have to worry about what is being said, because that is going to be the Catholic YouTube eventually. So that's the hope.
All right, let's take everyone out with some amazing dance moves, Rob.
I see you, enemy. I see you, enemy. Enemy. Enemy.